Hi. In this episode of Maybe You Should Get a Flex 4 Instead, we will have a look at this tiny, lovely, cute, but super impressive Teenage Engineering EP-136 KO Sidekick mixer. It's quite a bit of a name. Is this thing a mixer? Yes. Can this be a DJ mixer? Definitely. Is this a good DJ mixer? I guess we need to talk about it. When I was looking for a sampler, I really wanted to get the EP-133 KO2. I still to this date really like the looks of it. But of course, some other things happened on the way while I was ready to pull the trigger. Teenage Engineering released this. And looking at the features and the price point, I would say it was a no-brainer for me. So I got it. And I didn't get it to use it as a DJ mixer. I already have a portable setup that was enough for me in most ways. You know that I use Hercules DJ Control Mix Ultra, and I kind of like it, minus a few issues I have with it. Even though I didn't buy this to use it as a DJ mixer, now that I have it, why not see the potential? Here's what I think about it. I really like it. Let's get that out of the way. I really like it as a mixer. I really like it as a device that I can pair with my iPad. I've seen some people trashing this as a DJ mixer or a DJ controller because it doesn't have a crossfader, and that might be a valid point depending on your style of mixing. But of all the different mixers I ever DJ'd with, never once I touched a crossfader, willingly at least, maybe accidentally. That kind of mixing doesn't apply to me. So because of that, lacking a crossfader doesn't really concern me that much. I'm not bothered by it at all. If that's your thing, of course, it's useless out of the gate, but it doesn't apply to me. But please let me know in the comments what you think about it. There are two ways to use this as a DJ mixer. Both of them requires a USB-C connection to your device. One of them is to use it as a mixer. The other one is to use it as a controller. I will show you both of them and I will try to explain what are the benefits and how do you set it up with some settings. Hopefully it's not going to take long. Before we get into the details of both modes, let me tell you that using it as a mixer out of the box works the way you would expect. It doesn't require any mapping, maybe a couple switches that you need to set on the hardware and the software, but that's pretty much it. MIDI mapping, on the other hand, is a little lacking, at least to my experience. DJ doesn't have a built-in MIDI mapping for this. We will also try to do it together probably later in the video. First one is the mixer mode. That's the simplest one. Let's get that out of the way, then we will check the MIDI mode. First thing we need to change is to set Sidekick to multi-mode. You need to go to the input settings. Normally you would need to lift this plate, and this is how you access the settings. But I created this faceplate based on the original design. A little clumsy, but it gets the job done. So I have this flash button on top to change the input. You click this button. Let's go to input. Make sure these are on stereo in any case. Then let's go to the second one, USB, and set this to multi. Normally this might be off. If you bring it to channel 1, all the output will be routed through the channel 1. Channel 2 will go through here. Aux will go through aux. Aux is pass through, so it doesn't go through any of this. Whatever comes in from aux goes straight to output, including the USB. We put it on multi, so it can decide what is in, what is out, and everything goes to 1 and 2 accordingly. It functions as a mixer as you would expect it to. That's pretty much it. That's all the settings you need to change here. And here on the iPad, you need to go to audio device. You can change the mixer mode to internal, and the main output needs to be 1 and 2. In that case, it will be your master output. You need to set the pre-queuing, otherwise it might not work. So pre-queuing is gonna go to channel 3 and 4, which will be here in that case. You might also decide to use it on the external mixing mode. To be fully honest with you, I couldn't find a difference between internal and external. I decided to keep it internal for the simplicity. That's all you need to do also on the software side. One last thing maybe you might want to change is your EQ settings here. When you go to EQ, you see that you have a DJ, studio, and parametric. And then you can also change the gain, like how effective will your EQ be. I like to keep it on the DJ settings. I like it a little bit better the way it sounds, but feel free to change it to your taste, and also feel free to change your max gain the way you like it. Just one thing to know about the EQ is it's not an isolator EQ or total kill EQ. Basically what it means that when you turn all the knobs all the way down, it's not gonna kill all of the sound for that channel. You will still hear the song bleeding through because it will only kill a certain amount of sound depending on what is your decibel setting. The way you use the filter is really simple, but let me play a song, then it might make a little more sense. Let's play a song. Now I'm playing a song. I don't hear it at the moment. If I press the Q, it's in my ear. If I disable the Q, it's not in my ear. And if I press and hold both of the Q buttons, it's gonna be in my ear as the master output, meaning that if I don't have anything on the master, it's not gonna be in my ear too. Let's choose one of the effects. In this case, I want to show you the filter. All the way to left becomes a low pass. All the way to right becomes a high pass. Also, in some of the effects, most of the effects, you can use the force pad combined with the mode stick. It is the same for filter. Let me show you that one too. This is basically how you play with the resonance of the set filter. You can change your filter to something else. When I press the effects, you can see the arrows on top. Let's put it to delay, and this is pretty much like echo. You can kind of use it as an echo out, but it doesn't give you the same effect, let's say. And on top of that, of course, you can still operate the parameters while holding on the force pad, which we can argue that gives you some more creative control. And as I mentioned, you can use different filters for different channels. What you cannot do with this filter or the effects, since you don't have a separate low pass, high pass filter on the knobs, at least on the hardware mode, you cannot transition from one song to another like filter swaps. You cannot do that. Is it a deal breaker? Probably not, depends on your mixing style, but just know that that's not something you can easily do here. Also, you can adjust your output gain with the gain knob, and the cool thing about that is if you press select and twist the knob, you will be able to see the amount it cuts or adds to your sound. There's also an additional function, there is a compressor. If you press the gain knob, you will be able to adjust the compression level, but this is, I would say, not for DJing on the software, but maybe if you have a DAW setup that you want to use it, it might be handy for that. Let's quickly have a look at the MIDI side of things. That requires a little bit more setup. First thing you need to do is to set it to MIDI mode. You need to go to the MIDI menu, select, and MIDI off is obviously MIDI off. MIDI on mode doesn't control DJ. I think it is to control the Sidekick from another MIDI source. When you set it to MIDI control mode, that's when it actually controls the MIDI. You will also see it in the settings. And then there's clock mode, which has no use for us at the moment, as far as I can tell. Let's put it back to control mode. Then let's go to our settings, MIDI devices. You can see EP on the menu. It says that there's a built-in setting, but if you want to edit it, you're gonna see that there's nothing. At least in my case, there's no setting built in. I created my own preset just as a blank preset so I can show you what to do, how to change things. But before we get into that, let's answer this question. If the mixer works good enough out of the box, why would we even bother with MIDI settings? Well, the answer is kind of simple, because you can add more functionality on top while still being able to use it as a sound card. which is actually quite flexible if you think about it. You can set your EQ knobs to EQ functions if you let the software handle the EQing, and also using the select or let's say shift function, you can assign EQ knobs to be neural mix or stem separation, let's say. Another thing you can do with it is to simply change the EQ on the software side to be isolator EQ, if that is your thing. I set it to classic mode, I don't change it, but just know that you can do it if you want to. And since DJ sets the gain match automatically on the software side anyway, you can also set your gain knobs to have other functions if you want to. So it's basically MIDI mapping, just like any other MIDI controller that you can set up. While giving up on the internal mixing capabilities, you let the software handle the mixing and use the surface as a MIDI control surface, and that's it. But the good thing is, again, as I mentioned, you don't get mono split outputs like you would have with cables and adapters. This is still stereo output, and it will still let you separate your master output from your headphone output. You can still listen to the songs in your ear. And let's see how it looks now. We go to our MIDI setting here. I already created my own preset. Right now you don't see anything, but the moment I turn on one of the knobs, you can see that it asks me what to set it to. In this case, I will say, since this is the deck 1, I will choose deck 1. And the action would be high EQ. And that's pretty much it. I don't need to set anything here other than this. But if you want to, you can also change the type, and you can invert it, and you can set it to pickup mode. In this case, since I'm setting the basic functionality, I'm not gonna need to do that. Let's twist the second one. Goes to deck 1 again, automatically mid. Third one, deck 1 still low. I don't want to touch the gain for now. Another one would be the volume fader. In this case, we're gonna go to mixer. I think it's gotta be something line volume. I think this is it. Let me quickly check it if I did it right. Yes, exactly. Okay, and lastly, let's set up the Q to deck 1. Yep, deck 1 monitor active. So right now I will show you how the controls work. If I twist the low EQ is cut, mid EQ is cut, high EQ is cut. You can see that this is corresponding very well. And in that case, if you really want to, you can set this to be filter, or let's do something a little different. Let's set the filter, so we can swap the filter to our liking, to be on the low EQ, like for instance in other controllers, and sometimes a filter is a shift function for the low EQ. If you twist it, you see that this is CC24. If you press select and twist it, it will be CC29. In that case, you can assign it to, again, still mixer. You can set it to deck 1, the filter. Now let's save it, and let's save it. Okay. If I twist the knob as it is, it's gonna be low EQ. If I press select and twist the knob, it's gonna be the filter. There's one thing you should know about that, is that even if you set it to the pickup mode, meaning that it's not gonna move the knob until it goes to the previous software position, and then it will take the position of the knob. So that is the pickup mode. But in this case, it doesn't really work that way. So it might be a little wonky if you set up multiple functions for these knobs, but it's certainly doable. The third option is, let's say, the best of both worlds. If you already have a controller like I have that doesn't have a built-in sound cards, and then you have this on top, you can actually combine both of them. You can use this as your overall MIDI control surface while still taking advantage of the sound output capabilities of a physical mixer. In this case, I really don't need to do anything other than, just in case, disabling the MIDI mode altogether. I'm not gonna touch any of the volume faders here. I don't want to do that. I am only gonna use this as a sound output. I can technically use the equalizer on this, but why would I use that? The reason being, if I keep playing with two different equalizer in two different parts, it might get a little complicated. And in this case, since this is a fully functional MIDI controller without a sound card, and this is a physical digital mixer, or actually analog and digital mixer, I guess. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's an analog mixer, maybe. Anyway, this is a mixer. I am taking advantage of the sound. I get the best of both worlds, basically. Now let's get this out of the way and talk about the downsides. There must be a catch, so what are the downsides in this case? Well, basically, if you use this as your main control surface, main mixer, for all the functionality basically that you don't have on the left and right side of this mixer, you need to rely on your touch screen. You need to use your touch strip here to change the position of the waveform. You need to rely on this tiny touch slider to change your pitch or your BPM. And in most cases, you need to rely on sync. And also, if you want to use the filter that you don't have here, or if you need to do a filter swap, for instance, you need to use it on the screen. Also, not having jog wheels and having everything on the touch screen in somewhat of an inconvenient and definitely not tactile way means that you cannot run and gun. You cannot figure things out on the way. You cannot randomly copy MP3s on your USB drive and put it in, or leave all the MP3s on your file system here and analyze it on the fly. It's not gonna work that way, because again, the muscle memory that you have around the jog wheels is not gonna apply to quickly fixing. I don't think it's really convenient. Another thing is the unit onboard effects, at least while I'm recording this video, is a little limited. There might be more in the future updates, we will see, but I wouldn't buy this for the future updates. Buy it as it is if you want to buy it. You have delay, you have delay, you have filter, you have tape, you have siren, and also you have tremolo. So basically you have 6 filters on board, and that's it. Not all of them can help you transitioning songs or adding energy to the song. They are there, but they are not the DJ filters that you might be used to. So that's another downside that you should be aware of. Don't buy it for the onboard filters. If you're not gonna buy it for this, if you're not gonna buy it for that, if you're not gonna buy it for the onboard effects, if you're not gonna buy it for the muscle memory and the jog wheels and the pitch bands and stuff like that, why do you buy it at all? Well, that's a valid question. That's a good question. It's affordable and it's a highly capable mixer that functions both on analog and digital. You can use your USB input output. You can use your 3.5mm inputs and outputs. That is super flexible. It gives you a lot of flexibility and options for the price that you're gonna pay for this, which is currently, I believe it is 180 euros, but a while ago, Teenage Engineering had a summer sale, and this could have been bought for as low as 130 euros, free shipping. I really cannot think of another mixer in this price range below 200 euros that in this size and battery powered. This is made to be mobile and it's super tiny, it's super portable. You can really force it to your pocket. I was gonna say that you can put it in your pocket. You can force it in your pocket, assuming that you are not wearing super skinny jeans. It's a really highly capable mixer and I really enjoy using it. This is one of the things that I use the most at the moment because of the gear I have besides DJing. But now I'm considering actually taking only this and my phone when I DJ outside. I would rather carry a bigger speaker for the space I have instead of carrying this and this. Would I buy it? Like if I don't have it right now, that I want to buy devices so I can DJ outside, I think I wouldn't buy these two because both of them are combined are somewhere around 350 euros, which again, buy a Flex 4 instead. Unless your concern is super minimal space that the whole thing is gonna fit in your bum bag, that you DJ anywhere and you DJ all the time, it doesn't make much sense. If you want to get only one of them and you value more about the control surface but not about the stereo sound, get this one, use a splitter cable. If you want to be able to get the best sound, stereo sound, without splitters and adapters, use this one, but you need to be friends with your touch screen. It's not gonna work reliably otherwise. To sum up, it is small, it is tiny, it is super capable, it is running on USB, it is battery powered. You can use it in multiple ways. You can assign MIDI, you can use it as an external mixer. There aren't really anything like it at the moment in the market. Anyway, that was it for today. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, suggestions or feedbacks, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will do my best to answer each and every one of you. And thank you for watching, and until the next one, take care. Bye.